Today I'm bringing you one of the most anticipated releases for cyclists who train with data. I'm talking about the Favero Assioma Pro R-S. Is this a real evolution or just an aesthetic redesign? Most importantly, how did they make them the lightest on the market? Let me explain. Favero has earned respect from top cyclists over years with their pedal power meters. Basically because they are accurate, reliable, and when it comes to accessibility and price, they're usually among the most competitive compared to the competition. It all started with the Favero Assioma 1 and Duo, which have been and still are the benchmark in terms of quality and price. Last year we had a new addition to the catalog with a new technology developed to bring the Pro MX to the market. A pedal that basically had to cover all the needs in the off-road world. And this same technology is what led to the development of these new Pro R-S, which are coming to the market in two versions. One is the Pro R-S 1, which has a single sensor on one side, and the other is the Pro R-S 2, which comes with dual sensors. These pedals aim really high. Pro is the new naming system that Favero uses to define all those pedals they have on the market that don't use the traditional pot. This way, last year we already had the MX with all the technology built into the axle for the off-road world, and this year the RS are already appearing. By the way, what does the RS naming mean? Well, on one hand, the R obviously stands for road, and on the other hand, the S. And finally, after many years of people asking for it, the S means absolute compatibility with Shimano Pedaling Dynamics SL cleats. Until now, it was only possible to have Favero road power meters compatible with Shimano cleats with the Duo Shi model, which was basically the body of the Assioma Duo power meter with a Shimano pedal body. Now with these new Pro R-S, let's say that compatibility with Shimano cleats now comes standard. The box contains both pedals, specifically the dual version, which is the Pro R-S 2. The dual magnetic charger and USB Type-C cable were highly requested for the latest models. Welcome brochure and greasing kit, which I'll explain later so you understand its purpose. And of course the Shimano Pedaling Dynamics SL scale. Black washers will also be available if you prefer a more understated look instead of the brand's traditional red. The design has changed slightly. Now it's cleaner, more integrated, and with a wider pedal body, obviously compared to previous pedal bodies. For the cleats, lug. The pedal axle is exactly the same as the one we can find in its off-road sibling, the Pro MX. And that's because all the important elements of the power meter are safe, protected inside the axle. We're talking about electronic components, strain gauges, and the battery. The fact that these three elements are protected inside the axle makes a difference in terms of construction. This is important compared to its closest competitors. To begin with, the Garmin Rally. For example, it uses regular interchangeable batteries, so we don't have to worry. They're not built in and are outside the axle. And what about the LUG pedals? We found that the strain gauges are located externally, so they need a cable to connect with the rest of the electronic components. The Favero Pro, both the RS and the MX, are the only pedal power meters available on the market. All three components are fully protected and sealed inside the axle, so on one hand they are impossible to tamper with no matter how much we want to. We can't access them from the outside, and on the other hand they are perfectly protected against impacts and harsh weather conditions. I don't know, humidity, things like that. This also reduces maintenance as much as possible. Since they have rechargeable batteries, there's no chance of drops in the potentiometer readings. That's something so typical and traditional of potentiometers that run on batteries, because at the end of the battery's life, the potentiometer data starts to fluctuate. The battery inserted here inside the axle lasts for more than 60 hours. Assioma Pro can also detect and transmit three advanced metrics called cycling dynamics. The first is platform center offset, body displacement. The platform center offset measurement identifies how the force is distributed along the pedal platform during pedaling. This metric is only available with Assioma Pro, not with Assioma Duo 1 or Duo Shi. The power phase, PP, indicates the segment of the pedal stroke where positive torque is produced. It also detects the peak of the power phase, the part of a pedal stroke where most power is generated. Rider position indicates the cyclist's sitting or standing time. The rider position metric, combined with the recorded route, allows you to analyze the cyclist's tendency to change position during specific moments of the ride. That is, to understand how a specific position can influence performance. Another really interesting feature that can save you a lot of money compared to other competing models. It has to do with the compatibility of pedal bodies between the Ebolis and the Pro MX. They use the same axle and the bodies are interchangeable. So by having just one set of axles and one set of road pedal bodies and one set of mountain pedal bodies, you could really have all your bikes covered for any cycling discipline you can imagine. Really, removing or changing the pedal body is very simple. Anyone can do it. You just need a couple of basic tools and in 2 or 3 minutes tops, you're done. Also, as I mentioned before, it's impossible to access the sealed section where the vital components of the power meter are located. So we can be sure that no matter how clumsy we are, we're not going to damage the operation of our power meters. It's also important to mention that inside the box of these Pro R-S, there's a lubrication kit included, specifically so that when we make these pedal body changes, we can properly lubricate the pedals as instructed and avoid problems in the future. Of course, it's possible to buy the Pro R-S pedal body and the Pro MX pedal body separately. And this is very interesting because the cost of each of these pedal bodies is significantly lower than any other competing model you can find. I want to tell you that I've been able to test them during these weeks before the launch on all kinds of routes in different weather conditions. It's been a bit of everything in this test. Above all, I took them on a 147-kilometer cycling tour with 2,700 meters of elevation gain. I would highlight the following after this test, starting with installation. Very easy and fast as always. Use the standard thread and recommended torque and you're done in 2 minutes. In the new app that has been updated, you can install the quick installation guide. The process is simple, but if it's your first time and you're unsure, check the app. This provides a far more helpful and appealing visual guide than carrying a thick instruction manual no one reads. Pairing with the cycle computer is instant. Calibration with Favero's new updated app is just like it was with the previous one. It's important to remember that all Favero power meters require calibration when you install them on the bike, just a single calibration. Unless we change them to another bike, we won't need to calibrate them again. As I mentioned, calibration takes no more than 20 seconds. While pedaling, the feeling is that the data is smooth, there are no ups and downs, and there isn't that typical spike that shows up on the screen, or a sudden drop in data readings at any point. As always, the standard with Favero works. Very accurate, it's even noticeable during more intense moments like sprints or intervals. The pedals have a Q factor over 53 mm and a height of 10.5 meters. So these measurements are extremely similar to what you would find on a traditional Shimano pedal like an Ultegra. And the feeling while pedaling is practically the same. I honestly don't notice any real difference compared to a regular pedal. Also, I have to say, and I'll show you later, that these pedals, even with the power meter, are actually lighter than the traditional Ultegra pedals without a power meter. That's honestly a bit overwhelming. The pedal body feels wide, it feels stiff, a good platform to apply force. It's built with carbon fiber reinforced technopolymers, which also helps keep the weight in check. Also, the Assioma Pro R is a piece of equipment and it's worth remembering that it's pedal powered, like a bottle. Yes. An enemy. See, because, as I already told you, these new Pro R-S not only improve on the weight of the Assioma, but they are also more competitive than some high-end pedals. Traditional upper mid-range ones. Without a power meter, like the Shimano Ultegra, This fact automatically makes them the lightest road pedal power meter you can find on the market right now. If we compare them with their direct competitors in terms of price, we can see that there's practically no competition either. Because I'm always going to talk about the retail price, I can't talk about discounts. The price set for these new Pro R-S is 700 euros, 600 for the Assioma Duro, which are at 689, and yet the Garmin Rally RS 200, which would be equivalent with 2 sensors, is at 900 euros. And if we go looking for the look, the KO blade also with dual sensors, we're talking about 1,000 euros. And now it's time to talk about the pros and cons of the product we're usually reviewing. What we usually do in this section is compare it against its direct competitors. In this case, it would be other pedal-based power meters, which is the thing here that I have a hard time finding. What is the weakness of these products? Looking at the chart, they're the most price competitive. It's the one that, in my opinion, has better manufacturing with more advanced technology, better build quality, a better construction, and on the other hand, they are the lightest ones out there. These are objective facts. Isn't it hard not to find something that doesn't fit here? So I'm going to zoom out a bit and compare these Favero Pro R-S with other types of power meters like the ones that go on the spider or the crank arm. And this way, those of you who are already using that type of power meter will be able to better understand the pros and cons of this kind of product. Let's start with the pros, and this one is very important. The sensor is located right where the force is applied, which is nothing more than the anchoring of our foot, which is the end of the body that applies the force to the pedal, okay? The rest of power meters obviously are located either on the spider or on the crank arm, and here the factor of recalculations comes into play. And other kinds of things that can make the reading not absolutely as precise as taking it directly from the point where the cyclist applies the force, which is a point in favor of the Pro R-S. Another super important point for those who like versatility is that with a single power meter, you can cover many bikes. By having it, you can take the pedals off, put them on another bike, and you can even switch bikes and keep your power meters. This issue doesn't occur with power meters installed on spiders or crank arms. The new bike that comes to you has to be compatible with the system you have. Obviously, you can't take it out to switch it from one bike to another. On a Sunday morning, it's completely impossible. So, pedal-based power meters, especially the Pro R-S, are the most versatile option because they can also be used with the mountain bike body. Well, as I told you before, directly with a set of axles and 2 sets of pedals, one for mountain and another for the road, you would have absolutely all the bikes you could have in your garage covered. Calibration, as I mentioned earlier, should only be done on the pedals. Are installed on the bike. There are other brands that require their power meters to be calibrated before every ride, which sometimes leads to forgetting, mistakes, whatever, but with this, honestly, you don't have to worry about it. Installation and charging are super simple. And on the other hand, the price is still very competitive, even when we compare it to spider or crank power meters, taking into consideration that we're always talking, in this case, for example, about the RS2, which has 2 sensors. Spider power meters usually have a single sensor, and crank power meters, well, that depends on the manufacturer and what you've chosen. Now let's move on to the cons section of the Pro R-S. I think it's my duty to share this with you, and then you can decide for yourselves, based on those details, whether they are really cons or not. We're going to get very specific. We're going to talk about weight, but once again, we need to clarify a lot here, because in the end, it depends on the overall setup, on what we have on the bike. Let's see. If we compare it strictly with the Pro R-S, 2, we lose the battle, that's clear. But if you use, for example, a spider power meter and also have traditional Ultegra pedals, you would already be losing overall weight compared to just using the power meter. Favero Assioma Pro R-S. So let's go here. It's going to depend a lot on the type of equipment you use. But, well, you have to keep in mind that if we compare them strictly directly, the power meters, do pedal power meters usually lose the battle in terms of weight compared to spider or crank power meters? But, once again, it depends on all the overall equipment you have on the bike. In conclusion, Favero has done it again. The Assioma Pro R-S are accurate, reliable power meters, very competitively priced, and finally compatible with the Shimano Pedaling Dynamics SL scale. If you are a road cyclist seeking the most reliable, adaptable, flexible, and competitively priced and lightweight power meter, the Pro R-S is for you. There's no doubt left, and now it's your turn. Please leave in the comments, what score would you give this product from 1 to 10? And if you're already a user of another Faber model, let us know in the comments as well, so that other people can benefit from your feedback and not just my experience. And also, I'm going to leave a link here in the description so you can go to Faber's official website, or in case you want to get more information than what I've given you here, I hope you really enjoyed the video. If so, please give it a big like, share it with your friends who are crazy about what's in cycling, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because that way you help me grow the project. And well, that will help me keep uploading videos. Be very happy and never stop pedaling. Bye bye.